Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have a magnificent guest with us tonight, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the educator, scholar, teacher, activist, frontline, a family man, and a believer, none other than Imam Mark Ikram. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, dear brother Joshua. All praises due to Allah.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. This is an extreme honor to myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. We have so many questions for you, but the
Yes,
first
sir.
question that we have for you starting off tonight is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
All right. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is indeed the servant and messenger. So, when I first heard the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the teachings have a way of kind of like implanting themselves on you, and you
Yes, sir.
don't realize that they have done a work on your mind until you're doing something else and you go, oh, wait a second, that's what that was. Okay, interesting. So I say that to say my uncle, he was a member of the Nation of Islam prior to 1975 in Newark, New
Mm,
Jersey. And when the messenger departed, he kind of went to the Imam's community, but he would come back to the nation, and he pretty much oscillate between the two communities. But my mother didn't really permit him to like give me like the full-on teachings, right? And
mm,
so he would say things like we'd be outside watering the garden at my grandmother's house. That's where we all kind of congregated as a family. And he would say, like the water is going up into the clouds and a fine mist is going to come back down in the form of rain. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Okay, I never knew that. Okay, interesting. And he would say things like, oh, you eating that swine, brother. I'm like, swine? Why did he say swine? Why didn't he say pork? And so like there were things like we would go to like different restaurants and my mother would be like, don't order that, don't order that. And I'm like, why? She's like, yeah, because your uncle don't eat that. I'm like, okay, interesting. And so then to really answer your question head on, I was around like 13, 14, and it was around that time my family expected me to get baptized. And I wasn't really rocking with the teachings of the church like that because I would love going to Sunday school. Didn't so much love the Sunday lectures, but I love the Sunday school because I've always been a really fastidious, detailed reader. And so I would read what the Bible would say, and then at Sunday school we would unpack what the Bible was saying. And so a lot of what I was hearing didn't necessarily match what I was reading in the Bible.
mm.
And so I started turning towards Islam then, of course, coming up in I'm not from Newark, but that's where I ultimately got my ex in Newark. I'm from Vauxhall, New Jersey. It's a smaller black section of a white town that goes back to like the segregation times. So I would see Muslims in the area and I would have questions about things. And so there was a brother. I will always thank Allah for this brother, brother Richard Muhammad. He was a brother who sold CDs and bean pies, carrot cake, squash pies, right outside of, I didn't know it then, but Mosque number 25. And I would go down there to get CDs like everybody else downtown Newark. And I would ask him questions, like, are you Muslim? Yeah, I'm Muslim, brother. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Okay, interesting. I knew enough about the greeting and whatnot. And then the brother had the final call, and I would always see my father by the final call. I would always see my uncle by the final call. And so I started, like reading the final call, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Okay, Minister Farrakhan, I'm familiar with Minister Farrakhan. Oh yeah, my uncle was talking about going to the Million Man March. Okay, yeah, yeah. My father, like the minister would come on TV, and the house would kind of get quiet. I don't know if you ever seen the episode of Cosby Show. They had Martin Luther King
Yes,
come
sir.
out, the
Yes,
whole
sir.
house
Yes,
pops.
sir.
Like my family would do that when the minister would come on TV. So I knew that the minister was somebody who was venerated and respected in the black community. But just reading the final call, then eventually I went to a Sunni mosque. And at the time, then I didn't speak Arabic at the way I speak Arabic now. And so it kind of just put me off because I saw the brothers in the park. They were doing like a park in Newark. I'm sure whoever watches the show is familiar. It's called Week Wake Park, one of the parks that everybody exercises in. And the brothers would be down there, Sunni brothers would be down there doing calisthenics, martial arts, and whatnot. And so, being a young boy going through puberty, that impressed me. And so I asked the brothers, like, oh, where's the Muslim mosque? They told me, oh, it's over here in East Orange. It was a Sunni mosque. And so I accepted the fact, the one God and not necessarily praying to Jesus to get to God, like that kind of convoluted relationship, but praying directly to God. But I didn't speak the Arabic then like I do now. And so I asked the brother again, going back to Richard Muhammad, he said, we have meetings right upstairs here. I'm like, you have meetings right upstairs here. He was like, yeah, brother, why don't you coming out tomorrow, Sunday at 2? I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I came out that Sunday at 2. Brother Minister Michael Muhammad was at the rostrum teaching hard on Christmas, about how there's more alcohol sold on Christmas, how there's more
mm,
crimes being committed on Christmas, and how
mm,
people just engage generally in loose behavior on Christmas. I said, wow, that's spot on because my mother's car. I don't know if you know about the movie New Jersey Drive, but back in those days, like New Jersey was a car theft capital of the United States. My mother's
mm,
car was stolen back when I was young, and I remember how that distressed her. This black woman working, and she lost her car, and then we had to like go through hell and high water to get that car back. But it happened on Christmas, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I never thought of Christmas as a day in which evil, well, invitation to evil. So once I heard that, I stood up right away. I say, this is where it's at. And then started processing. And then what happened was I couldn't get, even though I processed and recited in front of then brother Captain Robert, I couldn't actually get my X until I was 16 because I was
mm.
young. So brother Robert invited me to come soldier, not with the juniors, but with the brothers. And so I always thank Allah for brother Robert's decision to do that because at the time, the Bloods and Crips are really heavy in Newark at the time. And a lot of my brothers, brothers in the neighborhood were getting down with these different factions. And so it was like, okay, wait a second. I know I don't want to be a part of any of that stuff. So I'm no, I'm FOI. I'm going to the mosque. Y'all going down the hill to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to FOI class. So I just appreciate, the brothers for pouring into me. And ultimately I did recite under brother Captain Aaron Muhammad. Not Aaron DC, but brother Aaron, I think he's in Albany, Georgia right now. And I recited under him when I was 16 and became Mark 7X.
Go ahead, beautiful. All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. And shout out to
Well,
all, your whole journey. That's beautiful. And of course, Brother Aaron is a soldier holding it down in Albany. And
that's
man,
right.
this is we have so many connections that we're tying in right now. People are showing you love all around the world. Sister Nia, Walaikum Salam family, Brother Shaka Shakur, Birmingham, tapping in. Peace family, hope is lovely. Let's the hope. And then let's hope. Salute to Joshua and the guests. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who continues to watch. Please let us know what city you all are viewing from.
All praise due to Allah.
Yes, sir. The next question is we want to get straight into it with one of the things that you sent me here on the People's Podcast. We have a great, it's a great library for historians, especially dealing with the history of the Nation of Islam. But one of the playlists I really want to add to is Imam Warrith Deen Muhammad
Mm.
and the Muhammad family. And you have done some research and did some great writing. Could you let us know some of the things that you've written about him, sir?
Oh, yes, sir. So there was a project back in the end of 2020, going into 2021, out of Ohio State University. I came aware of due to a brother I went to Howard with, brother Demarius, and it's a project with Ohio State University and Getty Images. Like when you go search up an image on Google, Getty Images. So they have this project called Picturing Black History, in which they wanted people, scholars, people affiliated with universities, to write articles on lesser known Black figures. Of course, we know about Imam W.D. Muhammad, but I mean, in the mainstream, lesser known Black figures. And so I looked through the catalog of who they had, and I said, they don't have anybody regarding Islam. And so I saw there was a gap there to write about Imam W.D. Muhammad, already Allah anhu, may Allah be pleased. And so my decision to do that is because I know we were talking before we went live. When I was coming up in New Jersey, I would go to the mosque at 2 o'clock in those days on Sundays. But before that, on the local access on the cable TV, they would have speeches by Imam W.D. Muhammad, and they would also play lectures from Imam Mustafa Al-Amin.
Mm,
And
mm,
so I would hear the way in which they would position Islam, and it attracted me. Not so much to the point where I joined up into their organization, but just getting deeper into the Arabic of the Quran, getting deeper into the science of Islam, from a purely linguistic, purely like textual basis, rooted in the Quran, which of course we do in the Nation of Islam. But I mean, now we're making progress towards like getting into the Arabic. But one thing I really appreciated then was the Arabic, because when I first got that Maulana Muhammad Ali Quran, you're looking at the English, then you see the footnotes, and they're giving you in the footnotes Arabic transliterations, and then right there with your own eyes, you can see the Arabic to the right. And so I always wanted to know, like, what does that say? What does that say? So uh, I got into studying Arabic when I was at Howard University. Been to Morocco, did a study abroad there, did all four levels of Arabic at Howard. I used to work at an Arab restaurant in Georgetown. So I wouldn't
okay.
say I'm a scholar of Quranic Arabic, but more so just like the language of Arabic, being able to converse with Arabic speakers. And so again, when I was also at Howard, we were in close proximity to Masjid Muhammad right there in New Jersey Ave, which is one of the mosques in the nation that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had built from scratch. And so I would go down there to make salat, to escape university life and go down there to kind of get my mind right at the masjid. And, it was nothing but love when I went down there. The brothers, they would embrace me. I would break bread with them. A lot of times I wake up super early in the morning to go to Fajr and pray in the congregation of Fajr. And there was even a time, I'm glad Allah brought me out of the situation. My domestic life wasn't stable, meaning I didn't really have anywhere to live, especially as I was getting ready to get out of Howard because it was so expensive that final semester. And I would go down to the masjid because I was living in a house with a lot of students and I didn't really have my own space. And so I would go to the masjid for Fajr and Isha. And sometimes they would let me sleep in the masjid,
Mm,
kind of
mm.
get my rest to go back in class to get back on the grind. So I said to say they didn't make a negative impression on me. I know that our elders who were around for the fall of the nation, they witnessed many things. They had experienced many changes, and that's real. That these changes that were experienced, intervened where they got broke up families, intervened with the fact people literally lost their mind. So but I've also heard the Honorable Minister Farrakhan say in a meeting, I think it was back in 2008, right after the Imam passed away, that whatever the Imam did is now in the ground with him. We have to
Mm.
figure out how we're going to move forward as believers in Islam. And so that's one of the things of my goal in writing that article, The Imam of American Islam, was to show that us here as Black American Muslims, we are the indigenous Muslims of this continent, that if we can be at peace with one another, that also ignites and lights the way for our brothers and sisters in the East to show that all that sectarian nonsense is unnecessary. That if we can make peace here, that's a sign that they too can make peace. And as we know from the the prophecy of Master Farad Muhammad through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that one day we will in fact be at the helm of the Islamic world.
Beautiful. Go ahead and teach. Go ahead, brother man.
All
Yes,
praises
sir.
to Allah.
And people are bearing witness all around the world. This is great. Yes, sir. And the not only did you speak about him, but the other Imam, Mustafa El Amin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Could you let us know who he is and for those for the audience?
Yes, sir. So my father, I had a really good relationship with my father. I guess I should come out and say it. A lot of people don't know, but my father was 63 when I was born. In fact,
Mm,
my father would be 102 if he was still alive. And so
mm.
he was a follower of Noble Drew Ali in the 40s. I'm saying this to
Okay.
preface what I'm about to say. He was a follower of Noble Drew Ali in the 40s when he came back from World War II. And he didn't really stick with it, but he liked the ideas of what they were, kicking there in the Moorish Science Temple. And so when I said I wanted to become a Muslim, it wasn't necessarily met with a lot of opposition in my family. But my father was like, you want to become a Muslim? Okay, I used to be a Muslim. Started telling me about the story now, Noble Drew Ali, and then coming through, buying the final call, Muhammad Speaks, even the Muslim Journal. And he gave me this book written by Mustafa Al Amin. I think it's called Al Islam, Freemasonry. I just hold on, I got it on the shelf here. Okay, here it is. Freemasonry, Ancient Egypt, and the Islamic Destiny. Gave me that book, and the way that Imam Mustafa Al Amin situated our experience here as Muslims in America, it also echoed the sentiment that we have been chosen to carry on this Deen of al-Islam because we eventually will become the head of Islam in the world. And so this brother Mustafa Al-Amin, scholarly brother, he's written many works on Islam, and I would always run into him and his family in the Union Public Library. They're studying. And so I have a lot of respect for that brother and his family, and a lot of respect for the believers in Imam W.D. Muhammad's community in Newark.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Excellent, excellent. And people, thank you all. Thank you, Sakari Dietrich. It's Assalamu alaikum, sir, from Jamaica. Thank you for holding down Jamaica and everybody who's watching all around the world. Yes, sir. Let's speak about I play football, big love sports and athletics, and found out that you play football as well. Let us know about you and how that led to leading the prayer and all of that. Could you tie it all
Okay,
in for
wow,
us?
wow. Yes, sir. So I never actually played football beyond the Pop Warner League.
Okay, okay,
If
okay.
I can stand up, you'll see I'm vertically challenged. In other words, short.
Yes, sir.
So the sport that really was kind to me throughout middle school and high school was wrestling. So
Okay, okay.
varsity, middle school, I wrestled. And I would have wrestled at Howard, except that they got rid of the wrestling team my freshman year because of the
Mm,
top line. You had an equal number of boys on scholarship as girls on scholarship. And so they got rid of the wrestling team and the baseball team that same year. But I
Um,
say that to say, a lot of times at the HBCU where I work, Bowie State University, Maryland's oldest historically black college university, the brothers don't really flock to universities for academics per se. A lot of brothers come to the universities because of sports. And so because of that, and because I at the time was around like in my early 30s working at the university, I was tapped on the shoulder to do a lot of tutoring with the brothers on the football team. And so I got a chance to really get a chance to know the coaches, the players. And so I didn't come right out and say, "Hey, I'm a Muslim. Y'all trying to get down." But like I would notice that when there was a prayer room at Bowie at the time, and when I would go in there to pray, I would see several brothers on the football team in there praying, and they would have YouTube out with along with their prayer mats. I'm like, having what y'all doing on YouTube on your phone or your iPad praying? They're like, oh, we need somebody to lead the prayer, so we just follow along here on YouTube. I'm like, man, put that away, brother. I got you. And so I started leading the prayers with the brothers on the football team. But that's how it started at Bowie. That was like in 2018, 2019. But now the MSA is really strong on the campus where we have a dedicated prayer room. We have sponsored iftars now. And we have well, I say I would be the de facto campus imam. Then we also have a de jure campus imam or a faculty liaison, if you will, at the campus. But yeah, that's my connection with the brothers on the football team. I would tutor them and then teach them English.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay, great. And this
Oh,
is
praise
what we love
Allah.
to see. Now, speaking of the MSU and the NOISA, could you let us know about some of your origin stories dealing with that at Howard and how it all came about?
Oh man, how much time do we have? It's like, uh, so in the 80s, I'm sure Brother Jamil, I know can speak more on this. He was a big mentor to me then and now at Howard. And in the 80s and 90s, there was a huge presence of the Nation of Islam on Howard's campus. I wasn't necessarily, although I was on the earth at that time, I wasn't around to witness that. But the reputation of the nation preceded us amongst the faculty and the staff who were at Howard who witnessed that. And so when I started at Howard in my freshman year, 2004, I regret to say it, I wasn't a super strong Muslim at the time. I got, away from home, went to campus, and got caught up in the HBCU life. Then I go to a study abroad in Morocco in 2007, and this is when it really things start clicking for me after I completed all the levels of Arabic that here I am in another country, and these are people I've never met before. And at the time, this is around the time of the GWOT, the Global War on Terror, where there was an ostensible hostility between the United States and the East, purportedly. And so these people knew I was American, but they still were embracing me with love and inviting me because it was a trip with Howard and Norfolk State. So two HBCUs, but it was myself and another Muslim sister, but primarily myself because I'm male, where I was able to veer off from the agenda of the trip and go explore the city with the people wherever we went.
Mm.
Praying with them, eating with them, even to the point where because over there they know American, like, brother, you have to meet my daughter. You will take her back to America. Like, no, 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 la, 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 no, 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 no. But to that level, we know that's a high honor in the Muslim world where a male father introduced you to a daughter. But so it's like coming through that experience, then I came back in 2007, and brother Jalil Muhammad, really good brother, one of my best friends to this day. I don't know if you know the brother, but he comes to Howard in 2007. And I remember brother Jalil from our time in New Jersey when we'd have like Unity FOI class or Unity meetings where Newark, Plainfield, Asbury Park, Atlantic City, all Patterson, all the mosques would convene in Newark. And I remember seeing him there, but it being a militant structure, you're really not breaking away from the ranks. Say, hey, can I talk to you? Look, we're the same age. Like it wasn't anything like that. So I saw the brother walking across Howard's campus. I'm like, yo, you're an FOI, aren't you? And he stopped dead in his tracks. Like, wait a second. At the time, I had my locks, had my beard, came back from Rocco. Stopped there, like, how you know this? And so we started kicking it from there. And one of the books that brought us together, Dr. Wesley Muhammad's Book of God. I remember
Mm.
coming back from Morocco, picking up that book and started reading it and exposing myself back to the teachings. And we would converse on this book about what Dr. Wesley was kicking in it about the origin of the black God. And so, one thing led to another. And the one thing about Brother Jalil, very giving brother, he never
Mm.
said, wait a second, you got to get out of here because I got class early in the morning. He would entertain the questions. And so we started talking. And then, long story short, came back into the ranks, cut my locks off, cut the beard off. and we started kicking it with other brothers on the campus. I just so come to find out that there were brothers who were from Newark or from New Jersey who initially started helping us rebuilding the work on the campus. And to show you the timeline, we would show DVDs in the student lounge or show DVDs in the lounge at the dorm of the minister. And we
Mm,
would invite people to come watch the DVDs. And we'd have like a little chat afterwards about like what we heard. And so fast forward 2008, we say we need some mentorship. We need somebody to help guide us in this thing. Well, Dr. Alim, he has an office here. Then it was the Eastern Market. We said we're gonna go down to Dr. Alim's office and tell him what our intentions are and see if he wants to mentor us. And so we go down to his office, then the Eastern Market in DC. And Doc, so I don't like to do a lot of talking. The next thing you know, it's like 4 hours later, he still rapping. But it's not like repetitive talk, like you really get edified, like fed, like, oh yes, yes, yes. And so I said it to say that like we went to his office in the afternoon, and it was like by then the sun had set. And so he said, okay, I'll come up there. And so we had our first meeting of the deliberative dialogue sessions at Howard
mm,
University. And this was around the time when he lost his wife. And so he's told us personally that we helped him out, healed him in a way because it got him out of the grief because he now was working with us as younger people. And so we started having those power study groups. So the power study group was the precursor to the NOISA. Power,
mm,
POWER, people organized working for educational reform. And Dr. Arlene would facilitate the dialogue. And one of the magnificent things about these sessions, Brother Joshua, is that being at Howard University, the mecca of Black education, where you think that's creme de la creme, nothing comes higher than that. Dr. Alim would eat people up, literally, brother, with the wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where you think people coming there with some high science and like literally just like Pac-Man, just chasing it down, just eating them up. And so what that showed in me, like Dr. Alim said, was that the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are invincible.
mm.
And so we would use a deliberative dialogue structure, not to argue, not to get into a debate, but really to just get to the root of the truth. We'd have the dictionary out. Somebody would use a word that we didn't know. We would look it up and we'd
Okay.
say the word. And so, yeah, people would get upset, but then we would just kind of get right down to the root of things. And we found that the brother or sister who was contending with the truth, not necessarily with Doc, but just contending with the truth that was out there, really didn't know what they were talking about. They were just
Mm,
regurgitating what they had heard, and they really couldn't tell us how they knew what they knew. And
mm.
so that's how we started with the Power Study Group. Every Thursday, we would meet in Douglas Hall. That's one of the primary buildings there on the campus at 7:30. And so like I said, the meeting would go from 7:30 to 9:30. Muslim, we had a holdback meeting, but then there'd be a holdback meeting after the holdback meeting in the parking lot of Dr. Alim's car. So sometimes we wouldn't get out of there until like 12. And then there was this coffee shop over in Adams Morgan owned by these Palestinian brothers. And then we would even go over there, not with Dr. Alim. Dr. Alim would go on about his business, but us as the believers, we would go over there to the coffee shop, sit over there to maybe like 3 in the morning,
Mm,
just conversing on what we heard from Doc. And so we found that not only were we growing as Muslims, but even in our classes, we would participate in discussions and we would amplify the discussion in the classes because of what Dr. Alim was teaching us. I mean, we would wonder like, how did he prepare for this? Like he would come to the meeting and have like a list of bullet points of what he wanted to talk about on the board and just like go through them thoroughly. And sometimes, people would come back next week, we'll talk about it more, but like he would go through them like off the top of the dome. I'm like, wow, this brother is sharp. So just going experiencing Dr. Alim and just like how he was intellectually astute and courageous even. Like I said, here's Howard University, and we're bringing in people like, oh, well, I'm bringing this cat in this in my world philosophy class. I know he's not gonna be able to stand toe to toe and just coming in. That brother had to concede, well, hey, I don't know what I know, you know. But then I guess the culmination though, April 2nd, 2011, we brought the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to Howard University. And there was a long-standing unofficial ban of the minister speaking on HBCU campuses, but it really was that there was nobody there to say, "Oh, yes, we do want to bring the minister to Howard University's
mm,
campus." And so,
mm.
because we took that stand and did that, there was a lot of pushback we received from the university. But I mean, in those days, we were young, courageous. Brother Jalil would have us fasting, mitigate the fear, have us fasting, 5-day fast. We'd break bread as FOI on the campus, and it really was a
Okay.
thing to, to move out at that level. And so we ultimately wound up bringing the minister to Bowie State University in 2012. We had since graduated, but we were working with another group called BMA, Black Male Agenda, at Bowie State. And we met them because we were organizing the colleges at the time to bring the minister, Brother Jabril Muhammad, Dr. Jabril Muhammad, excuse me. He had a connection with a brother at Bowie State. And this is how I got ultimately connected to Bowie. He said he's going to bring us up to the buoy and we can go soldier out there. So we went up there and right away we fired up. We on a 5-day fast. Take us to your leader. They said, well, okay, well, who do you want to speak to? What do you want to do? So we bring him Minister Farrakhan and Howard. Who do you think here can help us do that? Waste no time. He said, well, we want to go talk to Dr. Raymond Shorter. Take us to him. We go up to the third floor of Martin Luther King building, and Dr. Raymond Shorter is there. And lo and behold, behind his desk, like how I have books behind my desk, he has a big picture of Minister Farrakhan behind his desk. And so he was the faculty advisor for Black Male Agenda. They came to help us bring Minister Farrakhan to Howard, and then we subsequently helped them bring Minister Farrakhan to Bowie State University in 2012. And then it kicked off into the whole HBCU conference that we had in 2013 in Tuskegee.
Go
If
ahead,
you
go ahead.
remember, there was the Booker T. Washington High School with the Building a New World Conference, in which we invited people who helped us organize here in the DMV and throughout the South, because at the time I was working at Torchlight Academy when we had the Holy Day of Atonement. I was teaching Arabic down there, and we were actually working on the campuses of St. Augustine and Shaw University right there in Raleigh, still teaching, trying to set up study groups. Not trying to set up, like actually convening brothers and sisters, converse on the teachings. And so it just was a beautiful thing, bro. I could say that, starting off college kind of rough and then atoning for, what I was, the mischief, so to speak, and being able to lead people into the teachings, who many people to this day have been affected positively by the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who you wouldn't even think would know these things, but I can verify as an eyewitness that they came through the Power Study Group at Howard.
Go ahead. Okay, brother. Me too a
And you
lot.
have to stop me, brother. I'm a professor, so I can talk. So you got to stop me, brother.
No. This is what one of the reasons we love having the People's Podcast is for information and inspiration. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who is watching all around the world. Let's go back to Torchlight for America, Torchlight Academy,
Yes, sir.
briefly. You said you and I have a connection to Torchlight. Can you let people know how me and you were connected with Torchlight?
Okay, yes, sir. So I started working at Torchlight. That was my second job when I graduated from Howard University in 2012. And it's not an MUI, it's a public charter. Well, it was a public charter school, but it functioned kind of like an MUI, where there was drilling, gender separate classes, boys taught by men, the girls taught by women. But we would drill in the morning and we would go over the universal aspects of the teachings, like the actual facts in the morning. And in the drills that they would, down on your left, up on your right, keep the ranks tight, represent for Torchlight. And I was like, oh, that's fly. I was like, yeah, brother Joshua came here. He gave us that. I was like, oh, that's dope. That's dope. Okay. Uh, and so that was the connection there at Torchlight. But a really beautiful learning experience that I had there. Even brother Donnie and sister Cynthia, I got married at that time to my Howard sweetheart in 2013. But in seeing them operating a business as a couple really inspired me to go, oh, wow, if the woman really is your help me, you have an idea in your mind, you give it to your woman, and your woman helps magnify the idea. So I just thank Allah for the example and brother Donnie's business acumen as well.
Absolutely. And shout out to both of them, which, like you said, seeing them together was inspirational. And I could not. I came to back to Atlanta, and I was just telling everyone. I said, y'all, they got buses to take the children to and from school. I've never
That's
seen
right.
anything like this. I was teaching the children how to drill and cadences. I was down there for like a week, and they were catching on for parade. And then
Yes,
when I went the next day, they saluting people,
sir.
different all races in there. I'm like, what school is this? Like, where is this? I'm telling
Oh
you, I'm
yeah.
bragging on Torchlight and brother Donnie's business genius and his family. I've interviewed him multiple times with his sisters and
Yes, sir.
uh, his nieces and nephews out in Phoenix. So yeah, shout out to Torchlight.
Brother, beautiful family.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Mark, this is Tony D. Brother Mark is a staple within the Muslim community in Baltimore. He loves coming out supporting Muhammad's Mosque number 6, along with the teachings.
Yes,
Young
sir.
men at Bowie, teaching young men at Bowie State. Very good brother. People saluting you. And
All praise be to Allah.
praise be to Allah. We have a brief 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. We're coming right back to our brother Imam. Mark, thank you. We are grateful for every like, share, and subscription. Thank you all. You all have no idea. Every super chat, every anonymous cash app. You all have no man. I'm just grateful. We're grateful that you all help keep the party going and keep all the information, inspiration coming your way. Thank you all very much. 1 second. Let me come right back to our brother.
He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay on Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon.
Scholar, teacher, activist, frontline. There we go. Boom, right back to our brother and scholar and professor and so much more. Okay, yes, sir. Let's talk about Muslim unity. What can we do to help unite the Ummah? Atlanta is doing a great job. We have, my father, by the grace of God, I went to plenty of masjids with him, along with Minister Abdul Rahman. May Allah be forever pleased with him, and with Imam Farrakhan and different imams by the West End area, by Morehouse and Spelman, and the AU Center. We continue to work with a lot of the Muslims in Atlanta and throughout the South. What can you're in the North, what can we do to better unite the Ummah, period?
Yes, sir. Shout out to Atlanta. My brother Sharif Abdul Malik, former classmate, Howard University, is down there in Atlanta too, shaking things up as well. But when I think about that, brother, you notice that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he referred to us as the Muslims. And because Islam was so nascent or new to America at that time, people would place a label on the Black Muslims, the Nation of Islam Muslims. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad referred to us as the Muslims with the definite article, the. And so even now, you see on social media, 15 brothers took a shahada today at Juma, or 12 sisters took their shahada today at Juma, and people are like, well, why didn't they go sign up at the Nation of Islam mosque? Naturally, because we don't necessarily have the answer we can point to, our mind starts creating things. But living here in America, in Arabic, there's a term called the Jahiliyyah,
Yes,
which is
sir.
the ignorance before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam began preaching the message of Islam, in which the Arabs are rooted in paganism. Just what we call today ratchet behavior. So I've heard the Imam Warrith Deen Muhammad say that we live in the Jahiliyyah al-Amrikiyah, meaning the ignorance of America here. Prior, it's the dawn of the Islamic age, but it really hasn't taken on like it is destined to do here in America. So I say that to say that I think the line that needs to be drawn, the boundary needs to be created, that either you're a Muslim or you're not a Muslim. Because if you're upholding the principles and tenets of Islam, you're not going to be beefing with another Muslim in the face of the Jahiliyyah al-Amrikiyah. You're going to be fighting for Islam, and we should surely win with our Savior Allah, our universal King. This is where we should be fighting for Islam. And just recently, brother, if I can be really transparent, I was invited to speak at Howard University with the final khutbah, final Jummah on May 2nd. Sister Dr. Nisa Islam invited me. And the MSA up there has changed a little bit, so much so that it's not so much primarily Black American. I know that's a general term, but not pretty much like people who've come from like the our American experience, but people who've come from the continent to America.
Yes,
And I said the khutbah I prepared was more so for a Black congregation. But even still, it was really well received by the overwhelming majority of the people who were there. And I mentioned in the sermon that mathematics is Islam, and Islam is mathematics, which is a teaching that comes from Ummat al-Islam, Nation of Islam. And if you translate Nation of Islam in Arabic, it's Ummat al-Islam. The alternate name for the Ottoman Empire, which our flag is similar to, but is facing the West, was Ummat al-Islam, meaning Nation of Islam. And this one brother, may Allah bless him, he came up to me afterwards, like, I really like how you mentioned the Nation of Islam. That's a group of kuffar, blah, 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 blah. And so some elders heard it and came over and was like, you can't say that because the Nation of Islam was here in America sacrificing, laying the groundwork down before your family immigrated here to America for you to even come here to a Jumu'ah in Washington, D.C. And so it was interesting. He still, took offense to it, but the way I got him thinking, I learned it, from Dr. Alim to get people thinking, that if we think about it, brother, today is what, Monday, Moon Day, tomorrow, Tuesday, That two coming from the Norman god of war. What
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday? Woden's Day, coming from the Germanic god Woden. Thursday, Thor. And so I said, well, here you are, brother, using these names to refer to different pagan gods on a daily basis. And you're going to come here and contend with me as a Muslim follower of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Nation of Islam, brother? What are we talking about? And so he really didn't have like a defense for that. And I told him, I said, well, brother, I put this on you. Same thing Doc would do to us. Like, we came with an idea like, oh, I think you should move out on that. I said, I think here's what you need to do. If you're worried about something I said, then why don't you come up with some orientation classes to give the brothers and sisters what you think is the best of Islam? And we kind of pieced it up after that. But to answer your question head on again, brother, in this day and age, either you're a Muslim or you're not a Muslim. I mean, because as we see, we're going down a slippery slope of moral decline here in America.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Something to correct us. So we go back to the teachings where the teaching is that the gorillas or the monkeys came as a result of the devils in Europe wanting to go back into the original man, but they had
right.
not an example, or they didn't have something to go by. They didn't have a prototype to go by. And so those of us here, if we don't have a prototype to go by, i.e. the Quran, i.e. the teachings, we could easily start grafting ourselves thinking that we're going to the original state, but turn out into a gorilla. And so that's what Islam does for us. It gives us that prototype, something to reach for, so we don't devolve into that savage beast.
Go ahead, teach, brother, man. Go ahead, continue to teach.
All praises to Allah.
Yes, sir. And Sister Miriam says, Assalamu alaikum salam, Sister Miriam. And please tell your son, happy birthday to my nephew, Prince Maz. We holding it down right here. And people are bearing witness all over the world. Okay, great. So many people are texting and commenting, saying this is a great guest. And how I can't believe we never met before, brother, man.
Yes, sir. All praise due to Allah. Timing is everything.
Yes, sir. All right. We wanted to ask you about filmmaking. How did you get into that? And let us know.
Oh yes. So where do I begin? So in 2005 to 2006, I took a year off from Howard University because I came to Howard right out of high school. And I'm pretty sure Brother Leonard could tell you, Howard is a type of place where if you're not prepared, meaning if your family didn't go to college and they gave you the game of what college is before, they didn't give you the game of what college is before you get there, it's really easy to be a strong student, do well in your classes, but really have no idea, like, what am I doing? And so I recognized that in myself. I said, I'm here. I was majoring in sociology at the time, which, no offense to anybody's majoring in sociology, but I mean, like, where was I going to go with that? I really couldn't see a way. And so I came back home to New Jersey that summer. And my friends who didn't go to college, they were over in, because we live right outside of New York City, they were over in IAR, Institute of Audio Research, over in Greenwich Village. And they had jobs working in the music industry. I'm like, wow, y'all even get jobs in the music industry, TV industry? Off these audio engineering certificates. And so I said, okay, that's dope. So then they said, well, tonight we're going down to a studio, which is Cobblestone Studios. Shout out Jeff Billingsley and Brother Black. I forget Black's real name. Down there on Bergen Street in Newark. And we go down there, and I'm like, wow, this is dope. So they said that the brother Jeff, he said that one of his friends was filming a movie nearby. And I said, okay, still again at Howard, because it's like a sink or swim environment, I had that ambition. I'm like, okay, well, how can I get down? I'm home for the summer. Can you put me in touch with your friend? And so he gave me his number. So I called him the first day, didn't pick up, called him second day, leaving messages. And finally, I think maybe after like calling 10 times, the brother finally got back to me and was like, okay, I want you to meet me out here in East Orange. And we're going to be at Naughty by Nature's, not Naughty by, but Tretch, the rapper Naughty by Nature. We're going to be shooting a video for Tretch. And I'm like, okay, that's dope. I'm there. And so I go out there and we hook up and I get introduced to a brother named Zodiac Fish Grease. He's one of those unsung heroes around the time of Hype Williams, Benny Boom. He's contemporary Zodiac Fish Grease. He worked with Mr. Cheeks and the Lost Boys up in Queens. And so he kind of put me under his wing. And so I learned a lot of my camera work from Zodiac Fish Grease that summer. This is all that summer, home from New Jersey, working with Naughty by Nature. Do It All, Dupree Kelly, who's now a council member in Newark right now from the Lords of the Underground. Working with them with this movie called Cash Rules. It may be out on Tubi or somewhere like that, but it's a star-studded Our World, like a bunch of rappers all throughout the joint. But no like A-list celebrity, so to speak. And so that's inspired me to go to film school. And I went to New York Film Academy that year. I was off from Howard, and then made 3 student films. going around in the neighborhood, you put a camera in front of our people, we know how to act, so doing that, getting a barbershop documentary, you wrote a little short film, a PSA about black on black violence. And then it got me into wedding videography. Fortunately, because New Jersey area, there's a big Jewish population. I was working with this pretty big studio who did bar mitzvahs and weddings. And
Okay.
so working with them, that really showed me like the professional decorum that you have to have as a filmmaker, where you draw the line of, yeah, it's fun to be at this party, it's fun to be at this wedding, but you're here to work to take take this footage seriously. And so I did that for until I got back to Howard. We're still majoring in filmmaking, but I realized that that kind of had a plateau as well. But I still have the ability to do it, and there would be times like while I write a rap, a hip hop song, and I like piece together some footage using like my editing skills or whatnot to kind of put together like a lyric video. But just one of those things in the tool belt, and also adds to my teaching toolbox as well, being able to put together content that's engaging for students.
A lot of people are bear witness. This is beautiful. And of course, I reached out. I was texting my aunt Lisa. I said, "Hey, Relly man, reached out. I mean, mentioned you on the podcast." She was like, "Oh my goodness, you did such a great job." So it's always good to keep us all locked in. Yes, sir. And I wanted to ask you about Arabic and how long did it take you to learn it, and how has that been beneficial to you and your educational journey and teaching journey?
Okay, yes, sir. So I would say I'm still learning Arabic. Arabic, like yourself, you're a martial artist. You can get really nice at martial arts, but you'll never fully exploit or explore everything that martial arts has to offer. The Arabic language is just like that, brother Joshua. It's such a robust language where there are literally words for everything. Just when you think you've reached the horizon, so to speak, of the Arabic language, there's still a whole nother plane of existence within the language. So I've been studying Arabic for about 20 years, since 2004, and I would say I'm nice with literary Arabic, which is akin to like knowing Shakespearean English really well. Like if you can quote the King James Bible really well. Now, if somebody came up to you and was like, "How art thou on this good day?" Like you would understand what I'm saying, but you wouldn't know how to respond back in Shakespearean English. So I say that to say that literary Arabic has its limits too. Like I mentioned earlier, I was working at this cafe in Georgetown that was frequented by Muslims from all throughout the Muslim world. It was owned by a Egyptian brother. The general manager was from Saudi, and most of the brothers I was working with were either from Morocco or Palestine. And so, even listening to them, they're different dialects. Some of the dialects, particularly the Moroccan dialect, is so different. It's almost like how you would picture Jamaican English, whereas you yourself are an expert in English, but you go start speaking some Jamaican English, Jamaican patois, they'll lose you really quickly in a conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It's
sir.
not just a matter of accent; it's like all different like grammar and words that they have there. And so I recognize that with Arabic, that there's too much to kind of grasp with that. So right now I'm kind of comfortable with reading a newspaper, watching a news broadcast, reading the Quran, trying to memorize the Quran. But one of my latest endeavors is I've been studying Farsi, Persian, since
Okay.
2022, so 3 years ago. And I would say that having studied Arabic so long, it has almost been like studying Latin or German and then trying to learn English, where it helps you to decode the language because 40% of the vocabulary in Farsi comes from Arabic, although it's pronounced differently because the Persian tongue is an Indo-European language like English is. People think that it's connected to Arabic, but it's written in the Arabic script, but it's a totally different language, Indo-European, where Arabic is a Semitic language. And so it's easier for an English speaker to speak, and it's even easier for someone who has a familiarity or comfortability with Arabic to pick up rather quickly. So much so, inshallah, in the fall, I'll be going to University College Park to begin my PhD studies in Persian hip hop and comparing Persian hip hop to American Islamic conscious hip hop. So that's been a really big breakthrough for me. And also, too, not only have I studied Persian, I've also been able to expose myself to Urdu because Urdu is also written in Arabic script. And
Yes,
whereas
sir.
40% of the vocabulary in Farsi comes from Arabic, 40% of the vocabulary in Urdu comes from Farsi. And so it's like a chain reaction. But I just wanted to read something really quickly, if I could, from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad,
Absolutely.
from this book here from our great Imam Sultan Rahman Muhammad, where he says that Arabic was your original language. It was important for him, the slave master, to rob you of the language of yourself, to keep you from leaving him. He brought you for a slave. If you kept your original language, if your original brother comes by you, he could easily start a discussion of the condition of this place or other places because you still have the language. He will understand you. You must remember, robbing you of your language, it was robbing you of wisdom of self. You were being robbed of wisdom of self. If you could speak Arabic, you would learn more of self than you would in English, even though you were born in English and not in Arabic. Since Arabic was your original language, that would lead you back to your original self. The original language does not stop in Europe. That's why you would learn more of the knowledge of self, because the original language of yours leads you back east. And so, this comes from the table talk of Honorable Elijah Muhammad on October 31st, 1973. Arabic is like that decoder ring, if you will, of the languages of the East. Like I just explained how I was able to hop from Arabic to Farsi to Urdu. And even sometimes I'll study Turkish, where Turkish is more so connected to Korean and Japanese, believe it or not, because it's what's called an Altaic language. But even still, Turkish used to be written in the Arabic script, and many of the words in Turkish come from Arabic. So even still being able to hop back into Turkish, all from knowing Arabic. And even some of these West African languages, particularly Yoruba, you hear a lot of our people. I'm pretty sure in Atlanta with Ifa and getting into the Orishas and all.
Exactly.
That word Orisha, you can make an argument that's a derivative of the Arabic word Araisa, meaning the head. You have another goddess in there, Yemaya, the goddess of the water. In Arabic, water is Maya. So Yemaya, oh water. Oh Batala, Abba Ta'ala, the Father on high. So that's what I'm saying. The Arabic language is so pervasive throughout the world. This is why, like the messenger said, they took it from us because they wanted to disconnect us from our original self.
Powerful, brother. Powerful. You're a
All
teacher,
praise to Allah.
and this is man, this is excellent. Do you offer classes, and how can people support and tap in and learn if you do offer classes?
I don't offer them virtually yet, but
Okay.
I don't mind teaching, but you have to be a serious student. Just like my classes in I would say real life, but my classes in person. I'm the type of teacher, okay, right? So there are beautiful teachers, patient teachers, like the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Well, if you're at a 0, he can build you to 50, and get you from 50 to 100. I'm the teacher that can get you from 50 to 100. If you haven't got that solid 50, and I can try to get you to 100, it's going to be tough if you don't really work hard with me.
Excellent. Yes, sir. And thank you to everybody who's watching all around the world. Thank you to Sister Miriam, Sister Naima, Brother Kente, Brother Musa, Sister Hope, Sister Auntie, Sister Nicole, everybody, Brother Duke, everybody who's watching and showing love. I wanted to ask you, sir, about your most fun adventure and time in Morocco. What was your, one of your favorite memories there?
Oh, yes, sir. So Morocco, even though the Arabic hegemony on Islam, meaning like the idea that they are the controllers of the power of the knowledge in Islam. And so anything outside of the Arabic persuasion is not Islam, is so far from the truth. And I say that to say that Morocco practices Islam, but not like it's practiced, say, in the Gulf states or throughout the Muslim world. In Morocco, the Islam is still like I said, in harmony with the African religions of the Berber people there, where they will have a veneration of, and this isn't the right word, but just so people understand it, like a saint. Not that Islam is given to the veneration of saints, but these are like righteous men and women who worked hard in the cause of Islam, who are remembered fondly by their people, and they're buried in these mausoleums called zawiya. And the zawiya is like the masjid, except that the zawiya contains the body of a saint. It's not like we're this the death is so present that it's just like stinking up the place. No, like it's enshrined. It's a really beautiful place, but people are coming there to pray there because the belief is that praying there at the tomb of the saint, you get added barakah or blessing for doing that.
Yes, sir.
And so that was a beautiful experience for me because I got exposed to dhikr, where dhikr meaning like to remember, to recite the names of Allah, to recite different prayers. And there's something to, again, that Arabic language is so powerful. Just reciting the language and not even knowing it per se, there's something in that sonic quality that's transmitted from the speaker of the language to the receiver of the language, and it starts to work on the biology and spirit of the person. And so that was one of the big things that touched me in Morocco, seeing how powerful Arabic was and how much of a gift Islam was to us, especially being a descendant of the former slaves, the so-called American Negro here in America. That here I am here in Morocco. Again, like I said earlier, I didn't know these people, they didn't know me, but it was a quick affinity that was formed because we believed in La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. And so just a beautiful country, brother. Like going to these zawiyas, they had the public bathhouse where they go in and get really clean. That was like the cleanest I had ever felt in my life. Like you're being clean with like fresh water, steam, scrubbing you. Then you go make the salat, like feeling clean with your nice clothes on, like beautiful experience, just like righteousness.
Mm.
Uh, the whole the town, like we think about prayer here in America because largely we don't live in an Islamic society. So like I know myself here at university, like when Salat al-Zuhr hits, I gotta kind of justify like, hey, I'll be back. Give me 20 minutes. I'll be back for praying. You gotta like explain yourself and slip away. And even then it's like, hey, well, can you get that email? Hey, can you like you're trying to like get away from there? But to see the whole city shut down because it was time to pray was a sight to behold. The streets cleared out. Nobody
Mm.
was outside while the prayers was going on. And then immediately after the prayers were done, the streets would repopulate again. And then like in the morning, hearing the adhan throughout the city, like one mosque would start calling it over here at this time. Another mosque start calling it there a few seconds later and creates like this like chorus, a symphony of adhan through the air. And I mean, just waking up to that in the morning. Like here, I live in Baltimore. Sometimes I wake up to what's the boy 21 Savage bumping outside my window, you know what I'm saying? Shout out 21 Savage, but I mean
I
waking
mean,
versus waking up to the sound of prayer coming throughout the city, like wow, so
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you know, so a beautiful, beautiful time.
Beautiful. Okay, praise be to Allah. And brother Imam Edward, welcome salam. Says his
Hey,
two brothers. You are the reason that he knows any form of Arabic. Alhamdulillah. I didn't
alhamdulillah.
know y'all. I didn't know the connection. I ain't know the connection.
Oh
Shout
yeah,
out to yes, sir.
alhamdulillah.
Everybody's staying locked in. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, sir. We got to put you on the hot seat, brother Imam. What is your favorite album of all time? You say you're a rap artist. You're a
Oh
rap
yeah.
artist. Let us know what's your favorite album of all time.
Ooh, of all time.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so like if being honest, my favorite rap album of all time is Heavy Mental by Killer Priest. Killer
Okay,
Priest is a Wu-Tang affiliate,
I'm
but that
familiar.
album, Heavy Mental, was first given to me when I came into knowledge of self, like I said, around 14. I think I was actually around 15 or 16 when I got in touch with his album. A Puerto Rican brother, King Chaz, he was a barber and he was a god, a 5%er. And so I would go in there and get my hair cut, but I started, talking about the teachings one day. He picked up on it, and I'm like, "Wait a second, what do you know about that?" He was like, "What do you know about that?" He was stage mathematics. I'm like, "Whoa, okay, interesting." And so just because I was operating on that frequency, he was like, "Oh, I got something for you. I want you to check out." He was like, "It's one of my favorite CDs here, Heavy Mental Killer Priest. You got to check this out right here." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so I checked it out, man. I mean, just knowledge, wisdom, understanding from the beginning track all the way into the end. And so that's one of the reasons why I like Killer Priest is because I'm of the opinion like the Zulu Nation said regarding hip hop, that hip hop, HIP, higher infinite power, healing our people. That album is so life giving because he's wrapping the teachings through the album, and it's not like in a way where it's like he's beating you in the head with the teachings. It's like solid hip hop bars, but it's like elevated in a way in which like only a Wu Tang affiliate could do.
Okay, yes, sir. And I must say,
That's all time. That's of all time. So.
yes, sir. I've done thousands of interviews, and that's the first time we ever had a Killer Priest reference as well as the album. So thank you for putting us on. You know what I'm
All praise
saying?
be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And brother Sean Cooper says one of the most underrated albums of all time.
Oh,
Okay,
telling you.
so everybody's about to come in. People have to get mad at me because I like the commercial Wu
Oh,
Tang. I like Method Man. Like I like the top 40
hey,
stuff. I wasn't. I'm familiar with you guys now, but I can't tell you
yes, sir.
any affected deck. I was listening to Method Man. I like Method Man.
Yes,
That's what
sir.
I was
Yes,
on.
sir.
What I'm saying? Yes, sir. All right, great. Our last question that we have for you, sir. First, do you ever visit Atlanta?
Oh, yes, I do. Last time I was in Atlanta actually was in 2019. I was giving a presentation on Zora Neale Hurston's Barracoon at the Southern Atlantic Modern Language Association conference. That was the last time I was there, and that was at let's see, the University of Georgia or Georgia State, one of those. But
Okay, okay.
that was the last time I was in Atlanta. That was in 2019.
Okay, yes, sir. Well, I want to make sure that we connect. Inshallah, I'll be in DC. I'm working on some things. I really want to go to DC
Beautiful.
This year. But if we don't connect, if you come to Atlanta before DC, we'll make it happen.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. I wanted to add, okay, our last question that we have for you, sir, is how have you been able to sustain your faith, keep your Deen for all of these years? What advice would you give to the young believers who are watching?
Okay, that's a big question. Uh, how could I say this? So again, like kind of going back to what I referenced before, that Islam is mathematics, mathematics is Islam. And so what that does, that creates like a logical proof that A equals B, then B must also equal A. Islam is mathematics, mathematics is Islam. Well, if we start isolating and think about like an equal sign, Islam is over here, and mathematics is over there. Islam, we can unpack that as freedom, justice, and equality, everything in existence. But mathematics, what is the mathematics part? Right?
Mm.
And so mathematics, a lot of times we'll say mathematics is numbers. Well, if you say you're studying mathematics, why don't you say I'm studying numbers? Because when you look at the Spanish language, I don't know, hablo español? You speak any Spanish? Okay.
Paquito, come on,
Poquito,
Stas.
okay. Entiende poquito. Oh, poquito.
Okay.
Okay, so
Así
that
es.
word, nombre, like, ¿qué es su nombre? What is your name? The word number and nombre are essentially the same word. This is why you'll drive down the street and you'll see firehouse number 23, and it's not NU dot 23, but NO dot 23.
Mm.
This is coming back to that nombre. And so mathematics now is dealing with the enumeration of names. In the Holy Quran, Allah says that He taught Adam all of the names. So what do names and numbers have to do with math? Going back to the etymological root of the word math, it comes from the Greek word mathematikos or mathline, which simply means to learn. And
Mm.
so not only is mathematics Islam, Islam is mathematics, Islam is also a system of learning. We have to continue to learn and prove these teachings. And so I find that sticking with the part of the teaching, settling on the best part, things that you can prove, things that you can actually discuss and get down with, stick to that part and then grow from there. A lot of times we get far out deep. We want to know what's those 104 books at the message. I'm gonna start, getting real deep and esoteric as we saw with the bean soup science. Stick to that which you can actually prove, that which is actually useful and functional, and then use your Islam. And as I said, in learning the Arabic, learning that, oh, I can actually switch out of English. Like the messenger said, your brother comes from the East and starts talking to you about your condition. You can start talking to the brother. Next thing you know, like when I was teaching ESL out here in Baltimore County, one of my students said, Mr. Mark, it's almost like I forget you're a Black American. Like, so it's like, not to say I'm escaping from the condition here in America, but Islam, like the messenger says, we must be made over again.
Yes, sir.
Because there's a thing with language, called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Some of you viewers may look at that, but go get research it. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, that the language that you speak actually begins to shape the psychology that you use to perceive the world. And so if we're speaking this mathematical theology, which is the teachings, right away in the English realm, you're looking at things differently because it's raised you up in a sense of consciousness. You're not looking at things on the same level. Like just recently, with like I'm not gonna get too heavy into like with the election, like, oh, what are we gonna do? So it's like the Muslims looking at, they're like, no, what does this mean to the black people? What does it mean to the black nation? What are the black people gonna do? What does this mean to us? And so even then it's like, what are our brothers saying overseas about this? And so studying Islam, but really studying Islam, continuing to learn. I can tell you, but like I said earlier with Dr. Abdul Ali Muhammad, that these teachings are invincible. Okay, you see like those movies where they're going down deep, diving, and they have what we call the tube, and they're diving down deep to try to
Yes, sir.
uncover
Yes,
the
sir.
treasure.
Yes, sir.
Those teachings are like that tube. But that tube isn't going to break, and whatever it's connected to is not going to break. So having that intellectual and spiritual courage to go there and prove these teachings, Allah will bring you through it. They're invincible.
Beautiful. Okay. Yes, sir. Brother, this is once again, you said it's perfect timing, but we're glad to have you a part of the People Podcast um, roster of great guests and
I'm
intellectual
honored, brother.
scholars and authors to come on. And we got to last question, put you in the hot seat. Can we get you to come back for a part 2 in the future, inshallah?
Yes, sir. Inshallah, I would like to come back because I would like to speak more about what I'm doing with my son as well with regard to education. He's 3 years old, and we have him reading, doing his mathematics, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, periodic table. And I want to start selling courses, inshallah, this summer to show the believers of what we're doing, because what we're doing is like a pioneering thing. But I think if more believers get involved in this, we can grow this thing into a bigger institution that outlives all of us, with our children.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, that's a done deal, and we'll speak offline, but we're definitely going to bring you back for part two.
Okay.
Man, this is for everybody who's watching. This is one of the reasons that we have the People's Podcast. So not just to record history, but to show everybody right now. Look at all of the believers around the world that we can connect with and lock in with. How do people find you on social media, sir?
Yes, sir. So my Instagram is at Beautiful Black Boy Bliss.
Okay.
That's like a whole philosophy that I have as well that I'm in the midst of trying to publish. But at Beautiful Black Boy Bliss on Instagram, you can follow my son's page too on TikTok, Rich Baby Jesus, and you can see a lot of the stuff that we do with him as well with regard to education and tapping into and developing a Black mind.
This is beautiful, brother. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, excellent. Well, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we salute you, sir. We thank you for all of the years of sacrifice to help establish Islam, not only here in North America, but all around the world. Thank you for your scholarship and representing for the, for the believers on the campus. So thank you for holding it down. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, brother Joshua. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for watching. Oh, and one last thing, gotta stop you. You never told us your parents' name, sir.
My parents' name?
Yes, sir. Because you said your dad.
Yes, sir. My father, his name was Melon Cox. And I think he was Melon Cox L there for a while. But then he came out of that in the 40s, 40s, 50s, somewhere around there. But that's why I said he was deferential to Islam. He's 63. And so he had seen a lot. Like I said, part of Noble Moore Science Temple in the 40s. So different type of upbringing. Like you'd say, like, oh, we're millennials or we're Gen X and all this.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I would necessarily categorize myself in those delineations because he, like I said, was in World War II. So that would make me somewhat of a baby boomer and then somewhat of a Gen Xer because my mother, Lavetta Hall, may Allah be pleased with her as well. She was a student in college. She had me when she was 40. She was a student at Central State University. That's HBCU in Wilberforce, Ohio.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. During the height of the Black Power civil rights movement. So just coming up, like I said, in that conscious household of Melon Cox, Lavetta Hall. I'm so thankful and honored to Almighty Allah that they chose me to be their child and I chose them as the womb and vessel and catalyst to come to this planet.
Wow, beautiful. Yes, sir. My mother went to Wilberforce, so I'm familiar with Central State. You know
okay,
what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. A lot of connections.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm up on it. I know about Central State. Shout out to everybody who used to eat Skyline Chili and go to Cedar Point and all of the stuff in Cincinnati. That's why I'm born in Cincinnati, so I know about all the Ohio stuff. So yes, sir. So man, this is excellent. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you all for watching. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for People's